I felt it was necessary to also have the ability to come on and share a little bit, as many creators have, about making safety plans with your children. A lot of creators have done this recently. Safety plans in the community, safety plans in public buildings, and sadly at schools. The last place that you should have to make a safety plan in or a exit plan in. A little bit about my personal experience in my family. The first school shooting that my son was truly aware of and began to understand was Sandy Hook Elementary School. He was very young at the time that catastrophe happened. Years later, I had no idea that one of my very best friends had a nephew that passed at that school on that day of the tragedy. And he was playing with his toys, and I was explaining the nightly news to my husband, and I had spoke vividly to my husband out of what I had thought at the time earshot of our little one. And little did I know, as they usually do, surprise you with the convenient way that those toddlers tend to tune in on what parents are talking about. I had spoke about the kindergarten classroom. I had spoke about that hero teacher that hid her children in closets and cupboards and under her desk and in places that you would never think to fit a child. And she was killed that day, while the rest of her children remained safe. Still, till this day, fully believe that that woman was a hero. And my son had heard that. And I cried and cried because I felt, as many parents have recently, the innocence that left my son that night, because he came to me and asked us about it and wanted to speak about it. And he told me with the wise wisdom of his young life that it was okay, because she did an amazing thing and she was in heaven now. She was with Jesus. What do you say to that when your 3-year-old comes up with knowledge wise beyond his years? That was the beginning, shortly thereafter, of our safety plan, because it made him feel better. Not that I believe in instilling fear in children. I think, sadly, the world does that well enough all by itself without us parents helping it out at all. But just to make them feel confident, to give them that boost of courage, of already knowing. God forbid if your children are ever put in those situations, knowing that there's already an emergency plan set in place by his or her family. In the moment of utter fear, when the whole world feels like it's going to turn upside down on them, gives them something to focus on. It gives them something to hone in on. It gives them something, okay, my mom and dad said this. My grandma said to do this. And practicing it enough makes it a second nature. And that's what we did. We talked about, at the time, he was much too young and had never knew the sound of a gun, truly. We talked about the sound of fireworks in school. Fireworks are never allowed at school. Never go towards the fireworks. You always run away from the fireworks. We talked about what to do if he was in the hallway. We talked about how important it was, so much now, more than any other time, you listen to the adult that you're with. teachers have it hard, really hard, especially nowadays. It's the thing. Why do we have to listen to a teacher? We don't show teachers respect. Most parents don't show teachers respect. So why are the children going to show a teacher respect in the middle of a catastrophe, in the middle of an utter emergency? If you don't instill that level of respect and authority in that adult, it's not going to help, God forbid, if an emergency ever happens. But we walked through it, and we talked about it, and we set it in stone, and he understood. But Sandy Hook was my son's first true realization into this dark hole we live in now. And sadly, every parent is going to do what they think is best. And some won't mention anything. Some will act like it'll never happen to them. And every family deserves to treat these catastrophes the way that they feel is best necessary for their family. I wanted to be prepared. I wanted to answer the hard questions. I wanted to let him explain why he felt like the teacher went to heaven. I wanted to leave those doors of communication completely open. So he always knew that we were here to answer even the very heart-wrenching, heartbreaking questions. Look for things that you can do to help them. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much we love them, no matter how much they mean to us, no matter what we would do for them, unless you have the financial privilege of being able to homeschool, you have to make what's best with what you have. And sometimes that's with a confident, boosting emergency preparedness plan. Do what's best for them for the times that we can't be there and the times that we can't watch over them.